Good morning, and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folarin. How was your weekend? I hope it was a great weekend. Politically, was one hell of a weekend, as you know by now. I mean, it was a very, very, do we say controversial? Most especially, what stuck out the most, no doubt, would have been in Adamawa State, where Binani, initially was declared the winner of the governorship race. We're talking about the supplementary elections now. And then, INEC headquarters said, no, cancel it. We'll talk about that. And no doubt there's so many things that one can say there. Let me just quickly introduce our guests. In studio here, our friend Ayodeji Abdul Rauf, political affairs analyst. It's been quite a while. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
A fine morning to you.
Morning.
And then, yes, thank you very much. And then I wanted to look right to my left here and introduce my other guest, Dr. Jide Johnson. However, the man is using science and technology. So Dr. Jide Johnson is joining us from Ilorin, all the way in Ilorin. Dr. Johnson, I'm introducing you because I just wanted to say, and on my left here is Dr. Jide Johnson, but it's not so. Floating out in the airways. Good morning to you, Dr. Johnson. Chief Lecturer, NIJ.
And good morning to our viewers
Indeed.
all over the world. It's a pleasure to be with you on this wonderful morning.
In fact, your connection looks good, but let me just start off with you. We're reviewing the successes and failures, of the supplementary elections that came up over the weekend. We've not seen that kind of a thing before. I mean, of course, there were the successes, but let's just look at the notorious situation, and that goes all the way to Adamawa. Tell me, what was your read of all the goings on in Adamawa between the resident electoral commissioner, the returning officer, INEC headquarters, and the politicians themselves? Give me your read.
You see, Uncle Yori, the drama that took place in Adamawa did not just start yesterday. It started even in the course of March 19 elections. And I think that there is a need for us to review our electoral system to ensure that we don't make provisions for some of the things we have witnessed with respect to 2023 elections. First, we have seen inconsistency in the application of the law, whereby in some states, elections were declared inconclusive, that there will be supplementary elections based on the margin of votes between the winner and the leader and the runner-up in the election, and then the cancelled votes. So, and in some states, we've seen declaration. Adamawa is an example. Ogun State is an example. In Ogun State, the result was declared. In Adamawa, it was not declared. In Kaduna, it was declared. So that inconsistency, we need to deal with that. That will enable us not to have the kind of drama that we witnessed in Adamawa yesterday. What we witnessed in Adamawa is treason. It's a treasonable and felony offense. And I think that those that are involved should be prosecuted. First and foremost, let me commend Ayo Zubakun, because Ayo was there, right? I was watching it live, and Ayo gave a proper frame to that particular issue. Every one of us should support what is right. And I want to commend TVC, because TVC was the only station that captured the real life event of what really happened at that. I got to my hotel room and I just tuned into the TV, and lo and behold.
Indeed, it was something of a spectacle, as Dr. Jide Johnson is just saying to us. I mean, your read of the situation, because I've seen commentary that we've had all sorts of shenanigans in our politics, but this sort of takes the cake. I mean, there are clearly defined roles between the returning officer and the resident electoral commissioner. And as the INEC headquarters now said, usurping the role of the returning officer is something that they couldn't wrap their heads around. No doubt they'll have investigations. Did you manage to fathom out what exactly was going on?
I think I will collaborate on what Doctor has just said. I think our electoral act needs to be reviewed. Because look at what the kind of experience we had in Lagos. How many days we have to wait? When the result is already known, when we are just battling with 1, 2, 3 polling units, and we cannot really get the result out. I think that aspect needs to be sorted out. And that's what eventually carried on in all this thing we're having in Adamawa State today. Like Doctor said, we have some states that results were announced. Nobody says it's inconclusive. Whether there is a third hand in the elections in Adamawa, nobody understands the scene. Because suddenly we heard that the incumbent governor is leading by 34,000. And some people were speculating, is it possible for the woman to surpass? And suddenly we had that surpass, and somebody announced results. And it was questionable, no doubt.
And she had quickly done an acceptance speech.
That seems like a charade to me too.
So
it seems like a charade. Are we really doing democracy, or we're just fighting for a cause to be governor of the state? Is it a democratically elected governor in that process? I think the electoral act, like I've said, has to be reviewed. It has to be reviewed.
Just like
we've done what we have. Yes, so far so good. We can say it's done. We've done so well about the electoral process. But this end of it, whereby they've counted majority of the votes in a state, or in a constituency, and we have few units left, and somebody is saying the election is inconclusive, and we have that, haphazardly in various places. Some places are conclusive, some are not conclusive. Something needs to be done to the electoral act.
I wonder, Jide, are you back online yet?
No,
Jide is back online. Okay. You went away briefly, one expects that from time to time with the networks. But Jide, do you think, was INEC let down? Because people have been giving INEC commendation, but as you know, they say, I don't know, they must be saying that kind of a thing too in relation to, they say a producer is as good as his last production, and that's in television. But in the case of INEC, people have been giving them kudos, they've really tried, they've been innovative. Not that it was without criticism, but do you get the sense that for the resident electoral commissioner in Adamawa, was INEC let down?
Well, you see, it's both institutional failure and leadership failure. Institutional in the sense that the character and integrity of this INEC resident electoral commissioner has been called to question. He has been called to question. There were doubts with respect to his impartiality and his integrity, and because there were audio tapes that were circulating with respect to his conversation. And I think that what INEC should have done is to have relieved him of that duty and then probably post another resident electoral commissioner to that place. So that's why it's both institutional and leadership. We have seen from the INEC resident electoral commissioner in Adamawa State, he does not have what it takes to be a resident electoral commissioner. If you are appointed as a judge, you are meant to be impartial. For example, if you're a judge and your family members commit a crime, you don't say because they are close to you, you don't do what is just. You do what is just and what is appropriate. So for me, it's both institutional and leadership. And you see, if we extrapolate from what we have witnessed in Adamawa, it is because it is a gubernatorial election. How many things will have happened at the State House of Assembly election, at the House of Rep election, at the senatorial level, that there are not too much spotlight on it, like the gubernatorial election, that we have so much spotlight on in Adamawa State. And it begs the question, do we really want to practice democracy, or do we really want to just voice any kind of person on people's will? We can't be spending 300 billion in the first instance on Kuyori, and it will take ages, it will take weeks, it will take days for them to just do simple arithmetic. It is simple for you to compute figures. If it is to compute figures to steal money, it won't take ages. But to compute figures to declare the winner of election, and then we'll do it for 72 hours on Kuyori.
Yeah.
Just how many votes are they counting? Votes that is not even up to 1 million.
Yes.
The votes, the The total votes in that state is not up to 1 million. And then we see situation whereby they will suspend the collation of results. It took us, we have it, and I've said it. Let me close with this. I've said it that if we provide a timeline for people to vote, that is you can only vote between 8 and 2:30. We should also provide a timeline to which you can announce the result. We should provide a timeline.
Yeah.
And that will stop all of this abracadabra that we are witnessing.
Yeah. Really?
There is a lot of abracadabra with the election.
I mean, one can hardly argue against that. Good morning, Mr. George, our first caller this morning in Ikeja.
Yes, good morning, Uncle Yori, and good morning to your guests.
Thank you.
Uncle Yori, what happened in Adamawa is wrong. It is not defendable. But, you know, there is, before you draw a conclusion, you must hear the other side of the story. The woman, the governorship candidate that was wrongly announced, you know, she complained at the initial, on that March 18 elections, that she was outmuzzled in several places where results were supposed to have been cancelled but was announced, that gave Sintiri, the governor, that edge of 30,000 votes. They did not listen to her. If they had listened to her, that 30,000 votes edge would not have been there. That was on the ground. But I don't think it is sufficient to use that one now to now want to come through the back door.
Indeed.
So, Uncle Yori, I will want to see a female deputy governor in Nigeria. But there should be, the way to it should be genuine. It shouldn't be, like Dr. Johnson said, abracadabra. Right. Let it be clean and neat.
Indeed.
So this Adamawa thing, that wreck is not doing well, and it should be condemned. But there are issues that needed to be addressed, which INEC itself did not address before another tree fell upon a falling tree. Good morning.
Thank you very much for calling in, Mr. George. Well, as he says, everybody sees that what happened was wrong. We have to wait for them to tell us exactly what happened. People saw, and so might have been able to draw their own conclusions, but that would still be speculative because it did look as if there seemed to be a predetermined, outcome, and that somebody was going to willy-nilly, whatever else was going on, I know what I have to do here. And so it was done.
From experience and from the analysis so far, I have seen that supplementary election in Nigeria is only trials and tribulations. We had this kind of supplementary elections in Osun, some years ago. And we know eventually when we finish the elections, what the assumed winner that I thought he was winning earlier felt. Okay? And it's just, the whole thing will change on the ground. I think the issue, we need electoral act review because the issue of supplementary elections called for a lot of things because there will be a lot of intricacies, there will be a lot of intervention, there will be a lot of involvements of the power that be when supplementary elections are coming up. Like the caller said, the woman has complained about certain things. Why can't we even call for fresh election? Why must we do supplementary elections in a situation whereby the whole election process is characterized by fraud and there are counter allegations and allegations? There should be a fresh election in that state. And to me, if the Electoral Act is not reviewed, we'll continue to have bottlenecks like this in our election process.
Yakub in Dokwemo, good morning to you, sir.
Yeah, good morning, Chief Yori.
Thank you.
And good morning to your guests and DJ Johnson. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Chief Yori, I think we will continue to have this kind of shenanigans. If our electoral act is not changed to some length, because yes, it has been reviewed, but we still need to do a lot. Let me even say this. If you imagine, and then first and foremost, kudos to TVC. Because if not Ayodele Osubaku, we may not be able to look at this thing that they did.
Directly.
Imagine the wreck was accompanied by Commissioner of Police, the DSS, and the other security apparatus in order to perpetrate that very particular evil. I call it evil. Yes, some of us were sympathizers of APC, and then the woman they were wrongly declared as a winner is an APC, and then we like her to become the governor of that very particular state, but not that like this. It's not the way that you can become a governor, because the issue is that if you become a governor in the wrong way, how you want to confuse the state citizens that yes, you get this mandate truly. See, we will continue to have this kind of a problem. If this very particular man was gone unpunished, because by now could have expected behind the bar. And then because how could you be able to do this when you know fully by law you are not allowed to do so? You imagine how the governor of the state dragging the man. Imagine that kind of a rubbish. You declare somebody winner when you know that by law you are not allowed to do so. And then the governor of the state was telling you that you are not allowed to do this. And then he went ahead and do that. Accompanied by Commissioner of Police, Chief Fury, and other security apparatus. That is nonsense. Good morning, sir.
People tend to be.
People
are outraged, quite frankly.
They have to be outraged.
Yes,
they have to be outraged. Like I said, there's no. You can't. Election process takes a very long. It's a long deal,
and it's expensive as well, and
very capital intensive.
You know, and so INEC was granted everything that it wanted. So I don't know. There's some internal affairs in INEC. The caliber of people that they make resident. Sometimes we see it.
I think we need to go back to that. How did we even get to having such people as our commissioners?
The man is a legal practitioner, I understand. So he's not an illiterate. He's not an illiterate. So he knows full well, and that is the annoying part. He knows full well the right thing, and then still somehow thought that this thing could be done that he did. I just don't understand it.
I look at our INEC, and I've had a couple of times to discuss with some of the top officers in INEC, and how did they become an officials of INEC, and over time the kind of training that they are giving. Because I've had opportunity to do a training with one of the top officers somewhere in Ghana. So I used that period to ask him a lot of questions. How did you even become an INEC officers? How did you eventually become REC? How do you become returning officers and all sorts? To me, sometimes they will say they draft people from some ministry to come and become REC, Harrow, to come and become this from ministry.
Okay.
So I think, like Dr. Jide said, the institutional thing, INEC as an institution from the time immemorial is still growing.
Yes.
And over time, we change the head without touching the people in the systems. Because sometimes the head comes to spend short time, 4 years, 6 years, whereas the whole system is already rotten. We saw that kind of instances in Lagos election, that you see the kind of people that were conducting election that are not supposed to be conducting election. So the electoral act needs to be properly reviewed,
overhauled.
Then in terms of the human resource that will work with INEC,
yes,
it's not just anybody.
Yes. Victor in Surulere, good morning to you, sir. Thank you for calling in. Is Victor still there in Surulere? He wanted to join the show earlier. Victor in Surulere, good morning.
Can you hear me, Uncle Yori?
Yes, I can hear you. Good morning to you.
Good morning, sir, and good morning to your guest.
Thank you. Go ahead, Victor.
I am saddened at what happened in Adamawa State, because I said yesterday, I was telling one of my friends yesterday that there is no difference between the wreck in Adamawa and the man who went on an airplane and said Tinubu should not be sworn in. He needs to be evaluated mentally, whether he was okay or not, because I see no reason whatsoever. In the first place, you don't have the constitutional power to return somebody, no matter what had happened. Because now the impression is given now, those who are the opposition who lost election in 25th of February and those who lost in 18 March will now start to question the credibility of INEC and using Adamawa State as a case, you understand, to put up on scrupulous defense on the misbehavior of the INEC.
Yes.
So I am so disappointed, and I feel that there should be an institution that should investigate and thoroughly punish the man, because he has brought a dent on the entire process of the general election. That's my submission.
Thank you very much for calling in with it, Victor in Surulere. And you know, there are so many videos over the internet. One has to be very, very careful. When I say internet, I'm really talking about social media. One has to be very, very careful. There was a video that also was viral. A figure of 2 billion naira was mentioned. 1 or 2 billion naira and all of that. I think there was
no reliable source for it.
No reliable corroboration of that. And I think an irate crowd was, taking up a person, and he was swearing that no, I came here to arrest this situation. What we heard was that figure, but I say this is all still in the realm of figures, configuration.
I think I would advise INEC, anytime we're having supplementary elections in any state, it should be new hands to go and manage the place. Because
no doubt INEC itself is looking at its procedures now. It's manual.
It's like the actors in Adamawa did not even trust the man from after the first election. So why can't we get someone else to go and get it done? Why can't we get... So that electoral act needs to be overhauled.
Dr. Johnson, is Johnson still there? I think he is. Dr. Johnson?
With you.
Okay.
I'm with you. I'm
sorry. Victor that called in said that one of the sad, fallouts from this could be that now some people who, Nigerians very rarely will be the good sportsman and congratulate the winner. Now they can say that, you see now, you see now, this is what we're talking about. It could begin to, cast aspersions on other previous exercises. Is that a real fear, or is that...
You can extrapolate. One bad apple in a bunch spoils the entire bunch. So people will begin to extrapolate, because that's why he said this man did a lot of disservice to some of the gains of 2023 election. Some of the gains of 2023 election, that's why we said, with respect to what this man did. For me, Uncle Yori, the other side of it is the role that the media is playing in this thing.
Okay.
Like Yakub said, if not for TVC, we wouldn't get a proper frame to this story. A lot of media organizations went about reporting the story that somebody has been declared the winner, not providing context to the story.
Yes.
And then NTA even went ahead to carry a acceptance speech. How did they know that she's going to give an acceptance speech? I've said it. The REC is not operating alone. We need to investigate this matter.
Indeed.
Where did he get the confidence? Where did he get the confidence to go about and announce that result? Why was the DSS director present? Why was the commissioner of police present? So,
well, in the meantime, Louis in Ketu is on the line. Good morning to you, Louis.
Yeah, good morning.
Please go ahead.
All right. That's Uncle.
Yeah.
Good morning. Thank you for calling in.
So this election has actually...
Louis, go ahead. Can you continue? Louis in Ketu, you started. Can you continue?
Cut off.
I think there seems to be a difficulty with that line as well. Just as Dr. Johnson was saying, it's one of the worst things that can happen, because integrity, trust is all important. And we've spoken of the resident electoral commissioner, Hudu Yunusa Ari, is the way he's been referred to on the internet. He's reported to be a lawyer. And you saw a situation, you saw a scenario we'd never seen before. I can't recall. He was stripped down to his underpants. And
Uncle Yori, I think we must just we must stop blaming that systems alone. I think it's the whole system that eventually degenerates to this level, because we cannot, if the institution is not well built, there's nothing you can talk about individual in that institution.
okay, so I hear what you're saying, sir, and it is a truism, but I still am a bit angry that the man is a lawyer. You know how much book you have to read.
But do
you know how much intellectual equipment you have to have before you will satisfy them.
But you know what our education has turned to.
So that...
but you know what our education has turned to.
So I was saying that this kind of a man, it doesn't matter, not that I'm even imputing anything.
Years ago, a school certificate holder is far better than some graduate today.
I mean, it's just...
So it's the kind of education we've got over time. Internet education that people become lawyer overnight. No, I'm sorry.
I mean, Haruna in Kogi, good morning to you, sir. Haruna in Kogi, can you hear us? Good morning to you, sir. I think Haruna.
Nigerian Legal Council need to check this guy because he's not representing them well.
Well, he's not representing lawyers well. Because
he's special.
If he is a lawyer.
Yes.
If he is a lawyer, but that's what he was referred to, Hudu Yunusa Ari. If he is a lawyer, he's not representing them well at all. I mean, nobody's saying lawyers are saints. That's not what we're saying.
Yeah, but it has to be done professionally. There was no ethics of any values in what he has done.
So as you were saying, before I interrupted you, you were right. You were talking about INEC itself as an institution.
Yeah, so
before I got angry about
because
Ari.
Who are the people working in INEC apart from the ad hoc staff that need short time to be trained and be given? Who are the people working in INEC? How much exposures have they got? Let's check the international, the advanced world. If you want to work in such organization, you must be full. You must be 100% full of integrity. You are not just going to be there for nothing. You must have been tested before you be given this responsibility.
Well, and you see, the painful part is that many people are going to remember that
the man lawyer, what was he even doing? Whether he has not even executed a case before.
Mike Guinea is a resident electoral commissioner, for instance.
Yeah.
So it's like one will compare it and say that, can you imagine? There's so many of them. In fact, there's one all over the country. The caliber of person that you assume a resident electoral commissioner will be, and then you see what Mr. Hudu Yunusa Ari did. Let's take a break. We'll come back because I imagine that quite a number of other people will still want to call in. I don't know. I'm sure INEC won't want to talk right now. No, this is not the time for them to talk. They'd rather get the details and so as not to prejudice
whatever they're going to
case.
say now will be taken against them. So they'd rather just come and tell us they are reviewing it.
So meanwhile, they suspended all collation. They've summoned all parties to the headquarters.
To Abuja.
We'll be hearing about that. As they said, details to follow.